what were some of the original peptides that hit the market? And when they did you kind of see the writing on the wall? Did you know that it was going to explode like it has? Was it obvious the direction it was going?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so what people don't know is when I first started lecturing 8 years ago, I'd ask the audience, physicians, I'd say, so how many of you are using peptides? Nobody raised their hand. And I said, well, does anybody use insulin? Insulin's a peptide. It's one of the first incredible signaling agents that it changed life. It changed life as we know it. And that, just using that starting point to indicate the significance of these signaling agents was a great way to capture at least my audience at the beginning. And so, I mean, so we've had, insulin, oxytocin, vasopressin. We've had all of these peptides around for 80 years. They've just been progressing in knowledge of synthesizing some of these peptides that we have, and then being able to utilize them, study them, and look at the clinical significance. And it's exploded into hundreds, if not thousands, of peptides that we're familiar with right now that have clinical relevance.
You said something really interesting that caught my attention. You said that they are signaling agents that the body's already familiar with. In other words, peptides are based off of signaling compounds that we already have in the body. Is this what makes them different than drugs? Like, what's the difference between a drug that, let's say, agonizes a receptor or antagonizes a receptor versus a peptide?
Well, yeah. So in this context, so we can make any peptide. A peptide can be any combination of amino acids. So we can make anything. The library is infinite. But if we look in the body, the human body, and we look at how cells communicate, how does a mitochondria communicate with the nucleus? How does a nucleus communicate with the mitochondria, the peroxisome, the Golgi bodies, all the things that make up proteins? Well, they do it through peptides. And peptides are basically, they're in and out of the body pretty quickly. They're signaling agents that could be there for seconds. They could be there for a couple of minutes, and some longer. And that's where science has gone to, where we can keep them around longer. That's why they're more relevant now, because we can make them hang around to do their job when we introduce them exogenously, meaning by pill form, nasal form, injectable form, transdermal form, whatever. But the significance is that the cell is familiar with the signaling agent. So it doesn't see it as a foreign, as some kind of foreign process of where we're forcing a cell to do something it does not want to do. These are all agents that allow a cell to use its intelligence, which is incredible and will never have that intelligence. It lets the cell have its own ability to utilize these signaling agents then to make decisions. As far as adaptation, like you guys are all about exercise and so forth. So what is exercise and what are you trying to do? You're always trying to have the muscle adapt to the environment of what you're presenting. And these peptides just help that signaling and communication between cells become more efficient. And at the same time, utilize substrates like glucose, fatty acids, proteins in a more flexible pattern, so we can optimize glycolysis or oxidative phosphorylation or fat oxidation when it's needed. So we're not forcing a cell to make a decision with a drug. We're giving the cell its intelligence to make amazing decisions when they need to be made.